So on behalf of the South African Holocaust and Genocide Foundation, I would like to welcome you all tonight to this, our first public event at the Cape Town Holocaust and Genocide Centre since COVID started and the lockdown started in March of 2020. We are very fortunate to be able to stream this event to members of the Johannesburg and Durban Holocaust Centre and those who are watching from around the world. In particular, I'd like to welcome His Excellency Dr. Pavel Rezak, the Ambassador of the Czech Republic in South Africa, our guest speaker, Dr. Zuzana Pavlovska, Madame Alice Moskova, who is the head of consular and the cultural section of the Embassy of the Czech Republic, and of course our special survivors who I'm sure have logged in to watch online. Without the support of the Czech Embassy, we wouldn't be able to have this event tonight. We certainly wouldn't not have Zuzana here in person, who's going to be spending a few days with us, and I'm sure we're going to have some wonderful programs over the next few days. Mass transport of Jews to the newly established ghetto in Terezín, or Theresienstadt as it's called in German, started at the end of November 1941. Originally a military fortress, the town of Terezín was turned into a transit camp at the end of 1941. Its main role was to hold Jews from the protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia before their deportation to the killing centers, concentration camps, and forced labor camps in German-occupied Poland, Belarusia, and the Baltic states. Terezín therefore became a transit station for tens of thousands of Jews who were destined for death. Among the deportees were about 11,000 children and youth. The Jewish self-governance or government of the ghetto tried very hard to make living conditions bearable for those Jews. Education was still of utmost importance for the children, as it was necessary to preserve and develop their ethical, aesthetic, and intellectual values. This included drawing lessons under the direction of Friedel Dicker Brandeis. Drawings which were made over the course of 2 years. Drawings which were made over the course of 2 years from 1942 to 1944. We are very privileged to host Dr. Zuzana Pavlovsky of the Jewish Museum in Prague and curator of the exhibition. In fact, this exhibition has been her baby for the last number of months or years. The main aim of I Have Not Seen a Butterfly Around Here is to bring the viewer closer to the world of the child prisoners of Terezín Ghetto during the Second World War by featuring their preserved drawings. It now gives me great pleasure to ask Madam Alice Moskova to say a few words.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me to be here with you today. I am glad that after almost 2 years of preparation, we managed to bring the wonderful exhibition titled I Have Not Seen a Butterfly Around Here to South Africa. I would like to thank to Mrs. Hede Blumenthal, the director of Cape Town Holocaust and Genocide Center, and Dr. Zuzana Pavlovská, the head of the Department of Education and Culture of Jewish Museum in Prague, for having patience and preparing this event with me for almost 2 COVID years. I would like also to mention that the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Czech Republic awarded last year the prestigious prize, Gratias Agit, to Mrs. Talinates, the chair of the Genocide Foundation and director of Johannesburg Center for Promoting Friendship Between the Nations, and for spreading the good name of the Czech Republic abroad. None of this would be possible without a partner on the Czech side. Dr. Zuzana Pavlovská started the cooperation with South African Holocaust and Genocide Foundation in 2016. The Embassy of the Czech Republic, in cooperation with the Centers of Holocaust and Genocide in Durban, Johannesburg, and Cape Town, invited Dr. Pavlovská to accompany the exhibition titled Don't Lose the Fight in Mankind in South Africa. The exhibition of the Jewish Museum in Prague presented the fate of 6 Czech Jewish children during the World War II, as well as the important moments in Czechoslovakian history. Dr. Pavlovská traveled first time to Durban and then to Johannesburg and Cape Town. And each destination she presented lectures about the fate of Jewish community in Czechoslovakia after 1945. Our embassy invited Dr. Pavlovská for the second time in 2018. Then she presented a public lecture titled The Story of SS Ship Patria at the Johannesburg Center and held another presentation for teachers and a workshop for students in Cape Town. Dr. Pavlovská also brought with her the Prague exhibition titled The Neighbors Who Disappeared, which was shown. We are honored that Dr. Pavlovská accepted our invitation for the third time and is here today with us. Thank you very much. And now I would like to ask His Excellency Dr. Pavel Řezáč, Ambassador of the Czech Republic, for his festive speech. Thank you.
Is it? Yeah. Dear ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon to all of you. It is my great honor as well to welcome you not only in auditorium but as well online at the Cape Town Holocaust and Genocide Center. Unfortunately, the COVID pandemic, worldwide pandemic, due to the situation, it was not possible for us to organize the opening ceremony of the exhibition on the occasion on International Holocaust Remembrance Day declared by United Nations for the day of January 27th, as we planned before. My colleague, Mrs. Mžiková, has already informed you about the Czech activities in cooperation with your center, Johannesburg Center and Durban Center. And I wish to add only one message because the main expert, Mrs. Pavlovská, is waiting for her floor here to give her more details about the exhibition. Again, I wish to add, all we need to keep at our memories the tragic part of our common history, and we are obliged to share it with our young generation because this is future of our planet and we need to avoid recurrence, never more. Finally, I wish to express my many thanks to Mrs. Director Blumenthal, to my colleague Mrs. Mžiková, and to Dr. Pavlovská to be here together and to make it possible, this exhibition. Thank you very much.
Your Excellencies, Heather, Alice Zhikova, all the members of the Cape Town Holocaust Genocide Center, educators, ladies and gentlemen here in the hall and in the front of the screens. It's my great pleasure, and I'm really moved that after a long time of closing all activities and opportunities to travel, I was already for the third time invited by the Czech Embassy in South Africa and Cape Town Holocaust and Genocide Center to open the exhibition I Have Not Seen a Butterfly Around Here. The exhibition was created on the premises of the Department for Education and Culture of the Jewish Museum in Prague in memory of all the children who passed through the Terezín Ghetto, where unfortunately the journey did not end. Most of the nearly 10,500 children not older than 15 years were later deported to Auschwitz-Birkenau or to other extermination camps where most of them were murdered. I would like to start with a poem that gave the name to the whole exhibition. Butterfly, written by Pavel Friedman, born 1921, died 1944. The last, the very last, so richly, brightly, dazzlingly yellow, if only the sun's tears would ring against a white stone, such a yellow. Carried lightly up high, I went surely wishing to kiss the world goodbye. I have lived here now for 7 weeks, penned up inside the ghetto, but my people have found me here. Dandelions call out to me, as do the white chestnut candles in the yard. Only I never saw another butterfly. That butterfly was the last one. Butterflies don't live here in the ghetto. This year, we commemorate the 80th anniversary of the beginning of the mass deportations of Jews in Europe to ghettos, concentration, and later extermination camps. I would very briefly explain to you the situation in the Czech lands. On the night of 14 to 15 March 1939, the German Wehrmacht crossed the Czech-German border. After the German annexation of the Sudetenland and the secession of Slovakia, the remaining territory was declared the Protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia. Numerous people became involuntary prisoners in Nazi-occupied territory literally overnight. From the very first day of the Protectorate, Jews were fired from their jobs and their property was confiscated. Anti-Jewish directivities were so strict, even radios, bicycles, skis, and pets had to be fortified. Jews were prohibited from moving freely, and everyone had to be concentrated in newly established Jewish district. An 8 p.m. curfew was ordered for all the Jews who were henceforth barred from entering cafes, cinemas, theaters, and other public areas. They were allowed to ride only in the rear part of trams. Buses were completely off limits. Starting 1st September 1941, all Jews in the Protectorate, including children over the age of 6, were required to visibly wear a yellow Star of David on their clothing. The stars were similar to those worn by Jews in other European countries controlled by the Nazis. Only the inscription Jew differed according to the local official language. Just a tiny fragment of the local population managed to emigrate. Of the total 118,310 people who were registered as a Protectorate Jews, over 80,000 from them were still inside the territory once all of the escape routes had been sealed. Another poem I would like to read to you is called My Country, written by Hanuš Hachenburg, born 1929, died 1944. My country. My country is here, deep in my heart, just for me, me alone, from the furthest of fibers spun, a dream forevermore. The transportation of Jews to ghettos and concentration camps marked the start of the next phase in the final solution of the Jewish question. Worst of all was the persistent fear of the transports. The first transport left the Protectorate on the 13th October 1941. 1,000 men, women, and children were deported from Prague to the Lodz ghetto. This transport marked the start of the mass deportation of Jews from the Protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia, which was to become Judenfrei, a Nazi term meaning free of Jews, as soon as is possible. 6 large transports, each carrying 1,000 people, were sent from the Protectorate straight to the death camps in the east. At the end of 1941, a ghetto was set up in Terezín, Terezínstadt. The town of Terezín, originally a military fort founded by Joseph II and located 60 kilometers northwest of Prague, had been transformed by the Nazis into a transit concentration camp. For tens of thousands of people, Terezín became a transfer hub on the way to death. Primarily Jews from the Protectorate were to be gathered there before their journey to the death camps, but over time it also received Jews deported from Germany, Austria, Slovakia, Hungary, the Netherlands, and Denmark. An underground cultural life started to take root from the very first days of the ghetto's existence. Lectures, concerts, all the performances were held. Culture also represented a symbolic return to the lives they had lived before they were persecuted, to a world in which Jews, as citizens with equal rights, could contribute to the cultural life. By late 1942, the majority of the Protectorate's Jewish population, over 61,000 men, women, and children, had been deported to the town. In 1943 and 1944, they were joined by 8,000 more Protectorate Jews. As the end of the war neared and German defeat became certain, the Nazis decided to send to the concentration camps two more groups that had been spared deportation: Jewish Mischlinge, mixed people of Jewish and non-Jewish ancestry, and Jews living in the mixed marriages. Over 74,000 Jews were deported from the Czech lands to the Terezín Ghetto. And how was the life of the children in the Ghetto Terezín? The spared children under the age of 15, representing about 8,500 members of the prisoners' population from the depressing state of affairs in Terezín, the local Jewish administration tried to create better living conditions for them and worked to ensure that they could live separately. In the summer of 1942, Kinderheim, living quarters and houses in which children were assigned individual rooms according to age, were established in Terezín. For the youngest residents of the ghetto, this meant slightly better food, sanitary conditions, and medical care. The Kinderheim, or just Heim, which featured organized daily programs for children, were divided according to the gender, and rooms were assigned by language. The house mothers who cared for the children often took the place of parents, helping children better cope with the loss of their home and the separation from their families. Morning lessons were the main part of everyday life at the Heim. Leading figures from various disciplines were involved in the educational system, including professors, science, artists, and former university students. But the majority of the children, over 7,800, were later deported to the death camps. Only about 300 lived to see liberation. Those who were able to survive later recalled the sense of camaraderie and the influence their teachers and house mothers had on them. The exhibition is based mainly on the children's drawings, poems, and magazines, which were created mostly in the period 1942 to 44, when one of the prisoners of the Terezín Ghetto was an important and famous artist, Friederike Brandeis. Who was this lady? Friederike Brandeis was born in Vienna in 1899. From 1919 to 1923, she studied under the leaders of the avant-garde art movement at the Bauhaus in Weimar, Germany, where she gained experience with experimental empathy-based learning, something like Montessori today. After leaving the Bauhaus, she became an acclaimed painter in Berlin, Dresden, Vienna, and from 1939 in Prague. On the 14th December 1942, Friedel and her husband Pavel Brandeis were deported from the eastern Bohemian town of Chrudim to Terezín. Since transportees were allowed to take no more than 50 kilos, 110 pounds, of luggage with them, Friedel packed only a few necessities and used the rest of the space for her art supplies. Shortly after arriving at the Terezín Ghetto, she started to give children drawing lessons, which continued up until the transports of death in late September and early October of 1944. On the 6th October 1944, one of the transports took Friedel to Auschwitz, where she later died. Her husband had been deported to Auschwitz shortly before her. Very few drawings were made in the ghetto after Friedel left Terezín. The collection of the children drawings from the Terezín Ghetto is absolutely unique and one of the largest collections of the children drawings in the world, comprising of over 4,000 works by Jewish children who passed through the Terezín Ghetto during the World War II. Much like the children's theater, drawings lessons occupied an important position in the secretly organized schooling at Terezín. Despite the precise focus on the lessons, however, Friederike Brandeis had full respect for each child's individual personality and allowed them free rein to express themselves and unleash their creativity and emotions. In this regard, drawing considerable helped the children cope with their gloomy reality and offered an individual therapeutic effect. For the children in Terezín, drawing opened the doors to their memory, to the world from which they had been torn, and allowed them to see and describe the sad and horrific truth. But more important, it diverted them to the world of fantasy and sheer imaginations, where good triumphs over evil, free will, and prosperity reign, and paradise is on earth. In the 18 months she spent tirelessly working with children, Friederike Brandeis filled 2 suitcases with the drawings, which she left in the building number L410 for girls before she was deported to Auschwitz. The preserved drawings by the children of the Terezín Ghetto, which were found in the attic of the building number L410, were added to the collections of the Jewish Museum in Prague. They are an authentic testament to the tragic persecution of the Jews, which included children among its victims, but this unique collection often represents the only traces left by those whose names would have otherwise remained entirely forgotten. Your Excellency, Mrs. Rachva, Heather, Alice, others, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for the invitation and for the opportunity to commemorate together the fates of those whose lives practically ended 80 years ago. Finally, I would read a poem written by Alena Sinková, born 1926, survived, and I think it will be my last sentence. I like to go away alone, where there are other nicer people, somewhere into the far unknown, there where no one kills another. Maybe more of us, 1,000 strong, will reach this goal before too long. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susanna. Thank you. It's a very, very tragic part of our history. And I think the blessing of having found all of these paintings really bears testament to what happened in Theresienstadt. The exhibition, Susanna, for those people who are at the center, Susanna is quite happy to take you around and to explain. For those people living in Cape Town, the exhibition will be here until the end of December. It will then move to Durban, and after that it will move to Johannesburg during the course of mid-February to March. Susanna, we hope, will be coming back next year, and she will be paying a visit to Durban and to Johannesburg. For all of you that are watching online, thank you very much for clicking on, linking to our opening event. Just a reminder that tomorrow night we will be having another lecture by Susanna on the Jewish museums of Prague. I think any of you who have been to the old city of Prague will know the history of the amazing miracle of all of the shuls that remained and the artifacts that are there. So that will be the talk, the theme of Susanna's talk tomorrow. For educators and the educational guides, we will be having a workshop for you on Friday morning, and the theme of that will be the latest education methodologies that have been discussed with IRA, which is the International Holocaust Remembrance Association, and it will give you a guideline of what has been said, what has been discussed, and how to actually put it into your teachings. Thank you very much once again to the Czech Embassy for your support, your belief in waiting for 2 years for us to finally have this exhibition and for Susanna to be here. To Alice, thank you for your continued support and WhatsApps and emails and your perseverance in making sure that this would happen. For those of you online, thank you very much for joining us. Those here at the center, please join us as we have something to eat and something to drink. Thank you very much.